It's always more work than it looks like.
Oh yeah, it's a ton of work. It took me a really long time to build that.
Wow.
Yeah.
I was learning as I was going, so grateful to have a good
That's a Momo problem. What's Penny's wife's name? Penny's wife? Carmen. Oh, she made me. That's like learning to make Indian chai, right?
Yeah. Is it great, right?
It was fine. Yeah. It's not as good as yours. Okay. You guys ready?
Yeah.
Can you sashimi? Or you can sushi me? Ki jushin meto tam Rila Vinci Ninde Gempadi Sange Shindu Mingte Uwargi Joku Namda Shingla Chuparsho Iram Guru Radha Mandala Kamyatayami Chadan Soki Chonamla Chanchu Bardu Dagni Kapsuchi Dagi Chunyen Gipe Sanamki Lola Penchir Sange Druparsho Chadan Soki Chonamla Chanchu Bardu Dagni Kapsuchi Dagi Chunyen Gipe Sanamki Lola Penchir Sange Druparsho Chadan Soki Chonamla Chanchu Bardu Dagni Kapsuchi Dagi Chunyen Gipe Sanamki Lola Penchir Sange Druparsho. All right then. So I worked a lot of hours on your guys' stuff, and I ignored the downstairs people's stuff.
Yay.
So I'm gonna suffer. I'll suffer today downstairs. Okay, here we go. Well, let's read the last sentence from the last time because it's so cool. Because we finally saw somebody explain substantial, and that's always problematical in every school. What does substantial mean? And everybody has a different idea, and this one's a pretty good one. Dena J. Kulta. Would you like to read? You up for that?
Dena J. Kulta Pumpo Dam Seni Mitun Parangsha Tuparnangwa Deshin Yupar Shempani J.
Okay, so what does it mean to hold that something is substantial, right? Like a J and a kulbu.
Like a
J and a kulbu. By the way, I've never seen the word kulbu anywhere else, so just it's not very common.
Cool.
Like a master and a servant. Okay. Pumbo danseni mitumbar. There seems to be a me or a self or an owner, a driver, who is basically different from the parts. Like it's somehow standing above the parts and not in the parts. Something like that. Rangyatubar Nawa. It appears to be self-standing. And to believe Shamba, we had Mumba Shamba, right, before. To strongly believe that. Shamba also means to have a crush on somebody or something like that. So, it's, yeah. Deshin du Yupa Shamba, and to believe that it exists that way, that's what it is to hold that things are substantial. So take out the believe and take out the zen, and you have a definition of substantial.
Geshe-la, is the Dang-Tsin-Yi, is the syntax there like different by definition from the heaps?
Yeah, Van. So dung is a problematic word. Okay. Tekakpana. Please read.
Dekapana Kansak de pumpo la takpa zam du yurte.
Yeah.
Sangi ni pumpo le dun shen du yupa chido shedang.
Okay, good. By the way, that shedang indicates this whole last part was a quotation. I went and got it for you. It's pretty correct. I don't remember any big problems with it. Dekakbana, that's a verb from gok or gak.
To destroy.
And then again, you use the first column for a more typical musayupa, more active, more agentive verb. Tekakpana. If you shut that down, you see. So by the way, verb to verb translation is difficult. English is very rich in two-word verbs. Go over means to review, go in means to enter, go out means to leave, go around means to avoid, go away, there's English is very rich in two-word verbs. And they don't appear in thesauruses often because they're two words, which is ridiculous. But anyway, okay. Dekapana. And don't get me on the subject of using thesaurus. Okay.
I kind of actually want
Thesaurus should be used to confirm a word that you remember, but you can't quite, it's like here on the tip of your tongue and you can't quite remember it. So, but don't go fishing for synonyms in thesaurus. If it's not close enough to the surface of your mind to almost remember, you don't know how to use it properly. And then, I've read translations that just sound like someone was using a thesaurus all day. Yeah, and there was no unifying flow to it because it's not their vocabulary. So they're just picking words out of a thesaurus, and you can smell it, and it's not good writing. So use words that you are familiar with rather than trying to use a word you're not familiar with. If you want to improve your vocabulary, read lots of science fiction. Good science fiction. Just kidding. You can read anything. Read a lot, but don't try to find a word in it unless you can't remember. Like I use it once a day, a thesaurus, because I almost remember a word. There's a word I want, but I can't remember what it is, so I'll use a thesaurus. Huh? Thesaurus? It's a synonym dictionary. I'll show you the one I use. It's called thesaurus.com, and it's good.
I love it. If it's the one that
I use thesaurus.com all the time.
This is a good one. Yeah, Google built one into Chrome, but it's not as good. So we can say
it's such a good site. It's so helpful.
Links.
When the internet's working. So these are words for deny, which is gak, right? So what I'm saying is, don't use this. Use the words you know, unless you almost can remember a word, but you can't quite remember a word, because you're going to end up with begrudges and stuff like that.
I use the hell out of this, but I'm always looking for a simpler word.
Then you got antonyms, opposite words, and then you have dimly related words. And it's useful. It's useful. But what I'm saying is don't overuse it, because it will sound artificial. And I had to edit someone's writing who was mostly thesaurus, and it was very irritating. Use words that you know. Okay. Especially our mixed nuts translation style. We are seeking to please the waiters of the world. We're seeking to communicate. That's a great thing about DCI. We don't go over the normal vocabulary of a normal person. And you will find the greater the writer, the closer they come to, excuse me, but common parlance. Right. The speech of the world, the way the world talks.
This proletariat.
Yeah, Nagarjuna's vocabulary is very, very limited, and he's like the greatest writer from India. So and that's why he has survived. Okay. If you cancel or this idea of substantial, what you'll end up with, gyur, is that the person is nothing more than tsam. The person is nothing more than a label put onto the body and mind. Okay, the person is nothing more than, and this word tsam is often used in Majjhimika. Just that, only that. Yeah, Mingde Taksam is the most famous one. Just labeled with names and terms. But in that famous description of how things are labeled, the word da, B-R-D-A, which is a rare word, refers to the image coming out of the karmic seed. It doesn't mean term. Because otherwise the word is weird. Names and terms, what's the difference? So the term means the picture coming out of your mind, the archetype picture coming out of the karma. Now, I love this because he's going to explain what the tsam means. And I've never seen anyone do that. So this is very valuable. Tsam ki, the word tsam functions, tsam ki, to ch means disallow. Disallow. Like doja chepa is vajrachedaka, right? Cut. So it means cut out the possibility. What do you call that? Disallow the possibility. That the me could be something other than the body and mind. Could be a separate object from the body and mind. Dunxian. Okay, so you have to, I can see Jigme's making a face and that's because you're thinking about it.
Where's the me?
I mean, I hope so. Or your pants are too tight, I don't know. But just kidding. Okay. No, I was hoping you were making a face because it's not an easy statement. It's not an easy statement. When he says, if you can shut down the wrong idea, you will come to the idea that the person is nothing more than a label put on the body and mind. And then nothing more than is meant to deny or disallow that the idea that the me could be some other thing than the body and mind.
So that's the reason for tsam.
Yeah, and you gotta chew on what's the difference between being labeled on the body and mind and being something other than the body and mind. Okay? Yeah, because that's what the tsam is meant to disallow. Okay.
That's tough.
It's tough. Yeah, I mean, if you're not making a face right now, you're not thinking about it.
Yeah.
You're waiting for me to go on. So am I.
What it is that's not the heaps, and then said you're wrong if you think it's something other than the heaps.
Yeah.
Right.
That's tough.
It's tough.
Kind of middle way thing.
Brutally.
This is more the idea of a soul. Okay.
It seems like it's pointing.
Something like separate from the body and mind, crystalline little thing inside your heart, and goes on after you die, and that's the real Nick. And and then this one is Nick is the result of picture coming out of his mind and overlaid upon the body and mind.
It has to be on the heaps.
Yeah.
It has to be
Yeah. So it's not disassociated from the body and mind. It's a different way of looking at the body and mind.
You say it's dependent on the body.
And excuse me? Yeah. Well, is pen dependent on the parts of the pen?
Yeah.
When you say the pen comes from me, and I love DCI is very clear about this point. Okay, I shared pens in the past. Then I planted a pen karmic seed in my mind. Then I came in the room. I looked at these two parts, and they're not a pen yet. And then the karmic seed opened, and a picture of a pen came out. Luminous image came out, and you can see that luminous image if you meditate a lot. You can see yourself doing it, but it takes a lot of meditation. And then it comes out, and it overlays on the pen, and I see a pen. And the dog has a different overlay. You see what I mean? So I think that's so clear. So that's what this is saying. When we say labeled, we mean the picture that came out of the karmic seed has been overlaid on the pen. Okay?
What different from the lower middle way about the parts outside and then we
Oh, yeah. I was waiting for someone to go there. We don't differentiate between lower and higher middle way until we ask about the status of the raw data. You know, until the next question comes. Is this a result of are the parts a result of a karmic seed opening and parts coming out? Or were they there all the time and you came along and put a label on them?
So is it
What's the status of the raw data?
But the lower middle way would also do the same analysis, wouldn't they? They'd look at the pen cap and be like, well, the pen cap, doesn't.
Is the top of the pen cap and the bottom of the pen cap?
They would also agree with the upper middle way with that.
I believe they would answer, if I was going to sit in their shoes, I would say when you came in the room, it was there. Something had to be there.
So
otherwise, anything could turn into a pen.
So then ultimately they're asserting atoms, right? I mean,
that's another point. But what I'm saying is they're saying something was there when you walked in the room.
The Pumpo law is vital here for them, right?
Yeah, they think the Pumbos are not coming from the top. In that moment. Maybe in the moment before. I don't know. Okay.
And then he even goes out of his
But
way
it's
to
not
say
a crazy
be
thing.
separate from the Pumbo.
They say the magician needs a stick to work with. Okay. All right. So I went and got you that, and it's in your text.
So when you said nothing more was mentioned that me could be some other thing, is it the Gonsak that applies to both phrases?
Yes,
Or-
it is.
okay.
Yeah, you're correct. He didn't repeat the word Gongsa. He could have. He could have said Samki Kansa De Pumbole Dunshen de Yopachido. He could have put it that way. But being Tsongkhapa, he wanted to make it difficult for you. Okay. De Shindu Dongten De Dun Munsel Sokle Kyang Shedo. We see the same explanation in books like Dongten. Yeah, Kelsang Mikje is the technical name, opening the eyes of the fortunate ones. The name by which the book is known by everybody is Dongten Chimbo. And we looked it up and found other Dongtens. So it's the great Dongten, meaning the great.
Joseph Empty. No.
There are other ones?
What's a good decider?
There are. It is a genre. We established that one day. We worked on it for hours.
I see.
I don't want to do it again, but apparently it's a genre.
A touch of dependent.
The guy's drop emptiness sticks in your head, right? It's a good title from that point of view.
it doesn't exist.
What did we call it?
Tongue.
Interlude or something.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
It means an interlude, okay? And then Deiden Yiki Munsel, clearing away the darkness of the mind about the 7 books of logic, okay? By Kedub J. I keep hitting that book when I'm looking for stuff. I keep hitting that book. So if we get, a logic-minded mixed nuts in the future, or Adam finishes his book, where is Adam? Maybe went to the bathroom.
Is there a version that you prefer of the two that we had?
Kelsang Mikje? Don't touch him. I don't. No, I haven't studied the question. I always prefer carving
Yeah, they're both.
because typing that's going to be as bad as our typing. Okay. Then by the way, the status of our typing is supposed to be that it matches the carving, and it doesn't have any disallowed syllables. But we have never been able to afford or find editors to manually read all the millions of pages. All the geshis are overworked in the monastery because there's a brain drain. The good ones go to Australia. And they go teach 3 people in somebody's house because they don't want to live in India, which I can't blame them, but But then there's very few qualified teachers in the monastery. As soon as you become a geshe, it's a ticket out. And very few geshes stay in India on principle. So anyway, recently we made contact with a group of scholars who would like to be editors for us, who can't get tickets out. So, and they're not teaching in a monastery. So it looks like a good arrangement. So they can start manual, but millions of pages, it will take many years. But just so you know the status, we don't even attempt. We tell the input operator, just type what you see. Don't think about it. Don't try to fix anything, because that would be a disaster. They're not geshes. They're not even monks. They don't know to read. They can't read these books, you know. So to have them correcting things would be a disaster. Better that they are just like Xerox machines. They just type what's there. The goal is to get them to type what's there and not change anything, even if it's wrong, because we don't want them thinking about changing things. Like kya, they're going to change kya to gya in every single case, and it would be wrong. So that's why you find errors in our stuff. Some of it's just mistakes. They typed the wrong thing. They had a bad day. We type everything twice. Everything, whole thing twice. 2 different people type it. Then somebody compares the 2 on a special program and checks discrepant differences. And then another person does that again. And then a third checker checks the 2 checkers. And so the theory was, we'll get the block. Whether the block is right or wrong, or whether it was clear or not, that's another question. But to be honest, we don't always get the block. We get lots of errors that are not in the block. And that's just, you know, you should try typing Tibetan for 8 hours. And it just fries your mind, you know. I mean, they're good at it. They've been doing it. In some cases, the daughter is working next to the mother now. And they had their kids after they started working for us. It's been 31 years. So in there's many cases where the daughter is working with the mother. So anyway, they're good, but they're not perfect. And we're working on OCR, but I'm not anxious. It takes a lot of correcting, and that requires more skilled labor. The theory of our project is unskilled labor for minimum cost for 31 years, you know. So anyway, therefore, this tokpa with no S. Yeah, this idea, or this wrong idea, which holds that the person is self-standing. Yeah, I'm sorry, substantial in the sense of self-standing. I'll kiss you, but you're too far away. Kaza de rangi pumalatabe chusu min zinpar. Kaza de rangi pumalatabe chusu min zinpar. It doesn't hold that the person is a thing which has been labeled on the body and mind. By the way, Dakbe Chur, we had it before. It's the result of the dopaing. Okay, the labeled thing is the result. The cup is the labeled thing. The dokje is my mind.
The doker.
Yeah, the doker. So Dakbe Chur is sometimes treated as one term in idiom, meaning the labeled thing, meaning the result of the labeling, the thing that results from the labeling, which implies a finished existing thing. Just so you're sensitive to that point, it implies a finished thing. Now it's a thing. You know, the seed opened because I shared coffee in the past. Bengami brought all the parts. And then my seed opened and put a picture on the coffee cup. It was this one, I think. And I do need 2 today, so that was good. So now it's the finished thing. So sometimes Tapecha kind of feels like, in Madhyamika, finished thing. The thing I came out with. After all this doking and partying, and then finally I have a coffee cup. Okay, Tapecha.
So is that talk in a past tense?
Yeah, past tense. Yeah, it has been doked. Generally, whenever you have a GS, you're working with a past tense. Any suffix letter that can take a secondary suffix letter S, you're in the past tense. Normally. There's exceptions, I think. Okay, so rather than holding it as a finished labeled thing that was overlaid onto the body and mind, okay? De pumbala par mitupa. So we need the verb de. And this spelling, this is the same as BRTEN.
I think so.
Yeah, to rely on. So tundrup or dendrup are idioms, are synonyms for dependence, dependent origination. You can say dupa. I believe dupa is the definition of dupa. Okay. The definition of dependence is reliance. You could say rely. Use a different verb here in English. It's related to the verb to look at or to view. You see, LTO. And it means I'm looking to you for help. That means I rely on you. You see, so this ancient word for rely has the root of to look. I'm looking for you. I'm looking to you for help. Okay, so de pumbala parmitupe wangyurwa jewotabu. So without understanding, without holding, without believing in this labeled thing, rather the mind views the person as being like a jewo, a driver, a boss. It means a big boss. Lord, meaning, what's the difference? What's master and servant? Yeah, master has that nice feeling in English, like the master control switch or something. Okay, so the master, one gyurwa who means who has authority over, or who has power over. It means power change, but the meaning, it's an idiom. It means to have control over, to be the driver of. What?
This is Wongyurism.
It's the same as driver, which doesn't depend. Par is parultu. It doesn't depend that way. Now, that's a mayenga. The boss doesn't depend on the parts, but the parts depend on the boss. He's gonna say that.
Wow.
He's gonna say that. You know, my soul can live without my body and mind, but without me, who's gonna drive it? You see what I mean? So part mita, sur tu, sur tu. Sur means this way, right?
Par is that way?
Yeah, par and sur are opposites. Okay, what's a tsurtong?
Someone who believes things must be themselves.
Yeah, there's a verb, there's a noun for a person who doesn't understand the pen. There's a separate word. The person, it's called surtong. Tong means to see. Sur means coming this way. And that's a synonym for a non-Arya. It's a beautiful word, surtong, you know. And in the word, it gives you the meaning of a non-Arya. They believe the world is coming this way, okay? But here we're not talking about that. We're talking about the parts and the whole, the master and the car, okay? The car doesn't depend on the master. Sorry, the master doesn't depend on the car. The master can live without the car. But the car, you know, it's not going to get maintained like mine is today by Bimla without the master or the master's assistant. Okay, got it? There's a surta, but there's no parta. Got it? Okay. It's a nice point. It's a nice point. So without understanding how it really works, this labeling stuff, it believes there's a boss who's in charge, who doesn't depend that way on the body and mind. And it believes that there's something like a servant who does depend this way. who depends. What's this day?
Those parts.
It's no, it feels like that, and you're wrong. And I took it that way the first time I saw it. Just so you know, you're not crazy.
So it must be then the boss.
Yeah, good. That's the boss. The parts do depend this way on the boss. The boss doesn't depend that way on the parts. The boss can live without the car, but the car can't survive without the boss. And the car is your body and mind. Okay? Belat suntupe kulbutabar. Wangyurcha. Future tense.
Will control.
No, it makes it a noun.
Oh,
Like
will
dulja. Dulja.
Oh, the cycle.
The thing to be tamed.
Uh-huh.
The thing to be tamed.
This is the thing controller.
Yeah, the thing to be controlled is the part, body and mind. Kulbu, the servant, okay, is the thing to be controlled. To hold that to be the thing to be controlled is how this state of mind holds things. Meaning, Kansaki Damten, in this school, that takes the self to be substantial. Okay, you want to know what that means? Blah 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 blah. Okay. Believes in a driver of the crane, and the crane depends on the driver, but the driver doesn't depend on the crane. The driver could go on to another crane, and they do.
But does the definition of substantial in the sense of being self-standing or something?
Yeah.
Specifically.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, so that's a very, very beautiful sentence. If you can get that right, that's a whole class right there. You know, you could give a nice talk about that. You know, just from that one sentence.
Do you have any idea of using words other than master and servant because I find them so repugnant?
Repugnant means distasteful, not very nice. Because in America, the idea of a servant is not very nice. My grandmother had a servant; it was unpleasant. Yeah, black servants. I don't know. You think about it. It is exactly that, though. I'm sorry. You know, you could say driver in car or something. I don't know. You work on it. You can update it.
Boss and employee.
Yeah, boss and employee. Yeah, that might be okay. That might be okay. I would buy that. Boss and employee. The word employee is distasteful also. That which is to be used.
Master and attendant?
It might be meant to.
She wants to do it Lama and attendant. No.
No.
I like that.
This is really scholastic.
Okay. Please read. Please read. By the way, there are words for slave. It's not quite slave. It is master and servant. Yeah. Okay, go.
Tupambila gansa pupo dang wo padepe mzin suyi jam gansa pupo dang ze tade zimpe tani jikten la mede jangne namjela.
Yeah.
Late.
Yeah, good. Now, he's drawing the following distinction, okay? And we'll get to the wording, but it's not easy. In your heart,